Hey there, everyone. Welcome. Happy Friday. I am going to take a moment to share this on my personal page. All right. So, welcome if you are joining live or if you are watching the replay. My name is Jess Tomlinson, and I'm super excited to be sharing with you information on a topic that is so near and dear to my heart. Actually, I am here in my boyfriend's bedroom. What a cool backdrop, right? Like, I'm thinking that I should start doing all my videos from here. It's much cooler than my bedroom. But this topic is near and dear to my heart because not only do I care so much about soul partnership and soul love now that I have found my amazing soul man, and I want to share this with as many people as possible. But it's a pretty cool occasion because I realized as I was driving up from Santa Cruz to Ashland, where Ben lives, I was driving up yesterday and I realized that it's been 3 months since we have been Facebook official, and we met on this big trip where we were gone for about a month in 3 different countries, from New Zealand to Vanuatu and Fiji, and it's just been an amazing wild ride, and I have learned so much. I am a relationship and love coach that has gotten away a little bit from doing a lot of the relationship coaching, ironically. And by the way, there's construction outside, so I so apologize. It's a little bit annoying, I'm sure. So I'm wondering, actually, can you hear me okay? Is it like super obnoxious? I want to make sure that you guys can hear me, but I don't want to let it stop me either. So if you could chime in and let me know if it's just too much and you can't hear me, I might try to run and grab my headphones. I'm not sure how much that'll help. So we'll carry on until then. But this topic of today, what I'm going to be sharing with you, 6 signs of soul-aligned love, is a really big topic because so many women, including myself, look at these different signs and they actually think of them as warning signs instead of signs that you have found your soul partner, which is a huge deal. And so I feel really passionate right now about sharing these 6 signs. And there's a lot of different signs, so don't take these as like the end all be all. But these are 6 specific signs that I noticed when I first met Ben that I was a little bit leery of, but that I now realize were pointing me in the direction of the person that I am meant to be with and who I am now with. So let's start. I'm really curious if you are excited to have a partnership that is aligned with your soul. If you would chime into the chat box and let me know if this soul-aligned love is really important to you. I'm curious. Hi, welcome everyone. Hey, Jeanette. Hey, Angela. Good to see you, ladies. Welcome, welcome. So let me know, even if you're watching the replay, I'd love to hear in the chat box if a soul-aligned love feels really important to you. Because first I would just like to dive into, a little bit of what that means. All right. So maybe you guys are a little shy right now. That's totally okay. Just feel free, chime in the chat box, claim it. Yes, I want a soul-aligned love, or yes, it's really important to me. Maybe you're in a partnership right now or you're single. Either way, it's totally cool. So for me, personally, what a soul-aligned love means is that both of your souls have come together for a bigger purpose, that your souls are aligned for what you want to do in the world, for the kind of love that you want to experience. So this is a lot deeper than I just want a great partnership. You know, a lot of people, and I've been in many great partnerships that have worked for a certain amount of time, but I have felt this longing in my soul, and oftentimes it's something that you can't explain, that is this craving that's a little bit deeper for both of your souls to kind of recognize each other. And this can be some stuff that's a little bit hard to explain. So that's why I want to share with you these 6 different signs of a soul-aligned love. Oh, thanks, Angela. You're so sweet. Thank you so much for that comment. You are absolutely gorgeous as well. So thank you for that. I'm feeling like this backdrop, Ben's backdrop, is making me look like really good today. Or maybe it's because I got some loving from my sweetie last night. It was like, you know, almost a month since I've seen him. So hi, Holly. Yay. Thanks for joining. I'm excited to share. Okay, so let's dive in to these 6 different elements, and I'm going to check my notes. I think that if I click off the screen, you guys can probably still see me. Oh, thanks, Holly. Very glowing. It's the benefect, I like to say. The benefactor. Maybe I should start saying that. That's pretty hilarious. Okay, so the first sign when I met Ben, and by the way, so there's these 6 different really important signs that that I was a little bit leery of, but I'm going to save the best one for last, because this is one that Ben and I were both really confused about and had to actually talk about it for quite a while in Fiji, because we're like, this doesn't make sense. So know that the 6th one is totally the most important. And also, I just want to let you know, if you're joining me right now and you're like, okay, I can only stay for a few minutes, I got to hop off, make sure to watch this replay or stay on the whole time. I'm not going to go too long. I'm just going to make sure to cover all the 6 points and why they're important and how you can recognize them in your own relationships. And at the end, I have a really exciting special something that I want to share with you in celebration of Ben and I being together for 3 months. So know to stick around if you want a little bit of extra support in this. Okay, so the first sign of a soul-aligned partnership, soul-aligned love, is that there's this admiration, but also an equality. So admiration of a partner, but also an equality. And so what do I mean by that? What I mean is that when I first met Ben, I didn't really think of him as anything special. So this sounds really crazy, but and he knows all this, by the way, so it's not like I'm sharing anything where he's going to be completely like, what the hell, Jess, what are you talking about? When I met him, I was just like, oh, he's this guy, who is this guy? It's not like I had these huge heart palpitations, or I was like, oh my god, he's so amazing, or even so hot. He knows all this, by the way. It's kind of embarrassing to share, but it was just kind of this slow build of what became an admiration. And what happened is that I was a little bit confused, because all of my previous partnerships in the past started with me being wide-eyed, oh my god, this person is so amazing, I have to have them, they're wonderful. And what is that? That is putting somebody on a pedestal, right? You're making them better than yourself. So this first sign is that at the beginning, you might not actually think much of the person. And this is a really good sign. And so this is a good sign. Why? Because there's an equality, not a separation where you're putting them up on this pedestal like they're better than you. And a great soul-aligned partnership is where you're equal, right? How many of you actually want an equal partnership where neither one is kind of above the other? I'm curious, just chime in yes if you want that. Yay for equality. And it's okay. I know that sometimes these topics are a little bit like, scary to chime in when I do like my business coaching stuff, which is my other business that I do. There's a lot more interaction, but I know that sometimes this can be a little bit scary. Holly, yes. Okay, awesome. Perfect. Thank you. Angela, and yes, equality for sure. Cool. Angela, have a good rest of your day. Okay, so great. So that was one of the signs that I was a little leery of. And what happened, like I mentioned, is it was kind of the slow build where Ben just kind of kept showing up. It wasn't a big deal. And again, we were on this like major trip together, but he was a videographer on the trip capturing this documentary, and so he was kind of behind the scenes anyways. And I was one of almost 40 entrepreneurs that was on this trip. And so I was kind of like in my own stuff. And on top of that, I had a friend just die. I'd learned that when I landed in New Zealand that I had another friend die. Hey, Amy. Yes. Yay. Joining from the JOB. So a challenge to chat, but I'm here. Awesome. Well, thanks for still chiming in. Hi, Nancy. Good to see you. Yeah. So, and sorry if you just joined, there's like this construction that's happening outside of Ben's place where they're putting in like new patio things. So I apologize if there's a little bit of interruption. Okay, so that's the first sign, is that there was no pedestal putting up, and that was confusing. And a lot of women, I think the problem is that we look for somebody to admire, to really put on this pedestal, to aspire to like be with them. And what I invite you to do is to pay attention to the sign of like this kind of like slow build and just like an admiration, but this feeling of equality, okay? And it might feel a little dull, but it's a good sign. Okay, so number 2, I'm gonna look at my notes again, make sure I get this. Number 2 is that, I'm trying to decide what like order I wanna tell these in because there's some really, really good ones. Okay, number 2 is that they feel like family. They feel familiar. Okay, so here's why for me, and maybe for you, this might be something that makes you run. Because why? We don't typically want people that remind us of our family. We've got all sorts of like family baggage, like for me, Ben's a white guy, and I had never dated any white guys before. And what I came to realize is that was probably because I didn't really want to date my dad or my brother. Which maybe for you sounds weird, no matter like, what men you're actually attracted to, I would just invite you to stay open to if they feel familiar or like family, this could be a very good sign of a soul-aligned partnership. And so the thing to pay attention to here is that you feel comfortable. There's kind of like no proving. It's just like, oh yeah, like there you are. And so for me, in the past, I've always run from this because I'm like, I don't want to like be in a partnership with somebody who reminds me of my family. Okay. So the problem is that if you don't pay attention to kind of like this like ease and this family type feeling, there more than likely will be a lot of like struggle and resistance to start to kind of like let down your guard and feel comfortable with this person. It might just take a lot more work. I'm not saying this is good or bad, but again, we're talking about a soul-aligned love right now. So that's the second thing. I'm curious if you want to feel just like relaxed when you meet, your partner, or when you're in partnership, maybe with your current partner. If this is true for you, if you just kind of want to be like, oh yeah, hey, there you are, and like feel this ease, just chime in and let me know. Yep, I'd love to just feel totally relaxed in my partnership. Hey, Kelly, thanks for joining. And maybe it kind of freaks you out to be with somebody who feels like family. You can chime that in too. Because again, I'm saying this stuff, I really had to pay attention to. I would normally run from it, but it actually like pointed me in the right direction of the most amazing partnership I've ever had. So Michelle, yes, awesome. Thanks for chiming in, Michelle. It's so great to hear from you. Awesome. Cool. So feel free, if you want to chime in on that too, let me know. Amy, yes, ease and grace. Oh, grace. Yeah. Just kind of this hi, Nancy. Yay. Feeling comfortable is important. Yeah. Yeah. Really comfortable. This is not to say that when we first get into partnerships, that there's not stuff to work through. Like Ben and I have been working through a lot of stuff, but there was just this kind of sinking in of not needing to prove myself at all that I had never felt before. And for me, that felt like family. And before, that's always kind of been a warning sign. I don't know, I don't want to be in partnership with family, but essentially I actually do. And I'd invite you to ask yourself, do you actually want somebody that feels like home to you, that feels like, if you want to build a family like me, I want to have kids and want somebody that does feel like family in the end. So I had to get really real and honest with myself and take a look at what that really meant. Okay, let's move on. So number 3 for the third sign of a soul-aligned love is that, and this sounds really simple, but that Ben wanted what I do. He wanted what I want. He wants what I want. So this sounds really simple, and you might be like, well, duh, Jess, I want somebody who wants what I want. But here's the thing. In previous partnerships, because I'm guessing if you're watching this and, you're in my circle of people, or you've been following me for a while, or you are a friend of mine on my personal Facebook page, that you're probably into wanting to be a better human being. Yes? Anybody personal growth, dedication, spiritual path, I want to be the best human being that I can. Anybody? If that resonates with you, let me know. And as you are chiming that in, oh, cool. I think that was Nancy. So giving the thumbs up of maybe that is something for her. We want to grow, we want to become better, right? Hi, Sophia. Hey, David. So here's the thing, is that we forget about these very simple things. So this this next sign, that it's a soul-aligned love, that they want the same things I want, sounds simple, but in my past, what I've noticed is that because I'm so dedicated to soul growth and becoming a better human being and being more compassionate and understanding, I've actually been attracted to people who want different things than me, because it's inspiring. I'm like, wow, they're really interesting and they're different than me. And I get fascinated by people that have different perspectives and are really I've been drawn to this. And what's interesting is that might feel exciting, but it does not mean that this is a soul-aligned partnership or love that is going to actually be built on a foundation of you both wanting the same things. So for example, when Ben and I first met, and again, it was on this amazing trip, when we really started kind of coming together, we were out in the middle of nowhere living with this indigenous tribe in New Zealand. The advisor, the chief of the tribe, is actually an advisor to the Dalai Lama, which is pretty freaking awesome. We didn't realize that until we got there. But Ben had set up a hammock out there, again, no cell phones, no nothing. He's like, do you want to come out in the hammock with me and chat? And I'm like, sure, all giddy. And we get in the hammock and we're just laying there and talking about what we want, very specific things. I want 2 kids. I want to adopt a baby. We both had this very specific same plan where it was really? You want that? Oh my God. And even time frame. And so this sounds simple again, but the problem is that if you're like me, we get into this cycle where we want somebody who's new and exciting and different, and we forget about these very core things that we want, or we don't even know what we want. And we're such nice people that we're willing to kind of sacrifice and adapt and change. I know I did, I dated somebody for, 5 years who told me right from the beginning that he doesn't want to get married again and doesn't want to have any more kids. But I stayed with him because I loved him and I thought that I could adapt and then I would be happy. Well, I wasn't going to be happy with that. But I was trying to grow and be a better person and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's a bunch of bullshit. So pay attention to this sign in your own life, because if there are very specific, tangible things that you both want, that is a sign of a aligned soul love. Okay, let's get into number 4. I'm skipping around on my notes, so I want to make sure. I think we're on number 4, right? Okay, so this one again is might be pretty obvious, but it is really, again, one of those things that is easy to slip away from, and that is that our overall values, so like our perspectives of the world, of what really matters, is aligned. And so for you, I'm curious, like if you have one value that is really super important, so chime that into the chat box. Like, is your highest value, you know, integrity? Is your highest value to like respect? Is your highest value adventure? Like, is your highest value love? So chime that in because I'm curious. And a lot of people don't even know their highest value, and that's okay. But for me, connection, awesome, Sophia. That's beautiful. I have several, but my highest value is unconditional love. So here's something really cool to pay attention to. When Ben at the tribe, we all had like times to share and go around and like hold the stick where we could talk. And this is one of the cool traditions in the tribe, where you can basically stand up, and when you have that stick, you can talk for as long as you want, and there's no like rushing. It's really a beautiful thing. And Michelle, honesty, cool. Yeah. So these are really important to note because so for example, when Ben was talking, he talked all about unconditional love, and I was just sitting there like, oh my God, this is my highest value. And he like really takes a strong stand for it. And so in the past, what I've done, and I think a lot of women do this, is that we, again, like we dismiss this like highest value of ours, and we kind of look past it, and we are so forgiving, and we're like, oh, okay, well, you know, our highest values aren't really aligned, but that's actually okay. Well, I would say that it's when they are aligned, you know, if they're not aligned, sometimes it is okay. But my point is that if you want a soul aligned partnership where you're really on the same page and you're really dedicated to the most important value in your life, when you're both dedicated to that, it creates a really, really powerful partnership. And so for Ben, when he was talking about unconditional love, and I know that's my highest value, it was just like this, like, and I can see it unfolding in the way that we treat each other, in the way that we treat other people. And it's just, again, creates that kind of ease and harmony. Not saying that there's like shit that needs to be cleaned up, because every partnership has its struggle, but it's one of these things that is really a key identifier in a soul aligned love. So that is the 4th sign. So let's move on to the 5th. Okay, these last 2 are really good, so listen up. I'm really excited for these for you. Okay, this is a juicy one. So the 5th sign of a soul-aligned love is that they are willing to tell you the hard truth. The hard truth, okay? In the with the possibility that they could potentially upset you. So what do I mean by this? Okay, here's a story. Ben and I, you know, we're just starting to get to know each other on our trip, and I'm sitting there in Vanuatu, which is this country just off of New Zealand, kind of in between like New Zealand and Fiji. And I'm sitting there, and it's like I think it's our final night of the retreat. So we went to Fiji after, but that was actually like vacation, which was another cool kind of interesting synchronicity, because we ended up being in the same vacation house together, which was pre-planned. We didn't know we were going to meet each other. But anyways, back to Vanuatu, which is where we did water service work, where we went out and distributed clean water filters. The final night, I'm sitting there, it's late, we're getting ready to do like our final closing circle, and I'm on my computer because I was actually interviewed in this relationship love summit with people like Alison Armstrong and Ariel Ford, and it was a big deal, right? Like that was probably the most like high exposure summit that I'd been on, interviewed for my relationship knowledge. And I found out that the organizer actually changed the link, and people were responding to my email saying like, you know, this link is broken. And I was frustrated because I'd had everything set up so that I could be fully present for the trip. So here I am on my computer, you know, and the internet in frickin' Vanuatu, it's like you click one button and you're sitting there for like 30 seconds, maybe more. So Ben comes up to me, and I'm like frustrated doing the thing. And he asked me, you know, like, can I sit here with you? Like, you know, just be with you. And I was like, sure, don't expect me to be happy right now. But, and he was like, okay, I'll just sit here. And he like got me a glass of wine. It was really sweet. And then he said something, because it was in between like the wheel spinning on the internet. He said something, and I don't remember what it was exactly, to kind of bring us closer. And I had kind of, I wish I could remember exactly what it was, but I don't, so bear with me. I had said something kind of like to agree with whatever he said. And then I said, oh, just kidding. And Ben looked at me, and with like the most love that I've ever felt, but also the most like fierceness, he was like, Jess, here's what I noticed that you keep doing. You keep saying you're kidding. And what I really want is for you to just tell me the truth. You know, like, what do you want? And it was just this moment where I was like, oh, like, this is somebody willing to call me on my bullshit in such a way that, like, he's not going to put up with my crap. But he also did it in a way that was so loving. And, like, really, it was like he was prioritizing what was best for our relationship. And what was best for our relationship was speaking the truth and really having this like connection of like, I needed to be pulled out of like this, like avoiding, because what I was doing was I was trying to sabotage the relationship, because I was like, oh no, like, you know, just kidding, haha. Like I was trying to make this whole relationship thing like very light, right? Sophia, yeah, it was pretty amazing. It wasn't pretty amazing. This was like a humongous aha for me, where nobody before was willing to do that for me. So pay attention if you yourself or somebody else who you are either dating or you're in partnership with is willing to speak the hard truth. Hi, Cassie. And to help you see your own bullshit with so much heart. This is a really key sign of a soul-aligned love. So here's the problem, though, is many times we don't want to really look at our own stuff, and we get defensive when somebody does this, okay? So you have to be able to also like look at your own stuff for you to even be aware that this is happening. But I want to challenge you that if your partner is willing to do this for you and you're willing to do this for your partner, it is a humongous benefit to your relationship. Sophia, does Ben have a brother? He doesn't. He's an only child, actually. I know. He's like this rarity. It's like, yeah, he is quite the rarity, I would say. However, like all these things are possible, right, Sophia? And you're freaking amazing. I know that that your version of Ben is out there somewhere. And you're an amazing relationship coach too. So I love that you're dedicated to this path. Hey, Danielle. Okay. So that's the fifth sign. I'm curious. Have you ever had a partner who's tried to tell you the truth, but it has felt like they're doing it in a selfish way, like they want something from you? Because this is a difference. I want you to kind of like feel into this difference between like the soul alignment and the like, well, yeah, they tried to tell me the truth. Like I had a previous partner that he was dedicated to telling me the truth, but it was like, it made me cry every single time. So I'm curious, have you ever had a partner that wants to tell you the truth, but it's like that, like Like they're not doing it from a place of love. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's the difference between this soul aligned love and again, like it takes, if you want this kind of partnership, which not everybody does, but my guess is if you're watching this, whether you're live or you're on the replay, that you probably do. And so this takes work on both sides. So this is where we're kind of getting into a little bit more of the like heavier stuff, the more deep signs. Lori, big yes. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Cool. So just something to really pay attention to, that it's just, yeah, it's a beautiful quality. I told this story so many times to people because it was that moment where I knew Ben was my guy. I was like, ding, okay, something's different here. All right, so I want that for all of you too. Okay, let's move on to the final and sixth sign of a soul-aligned love. And this one is so big, you guys. So big that I mentioned earlier. Cassie, yes, I can repeat the 5 signs. I'm going to do that as soon as I do the 6th. I'll go through like all of the other 5 as well. Thanks for asking. So this one is so big that I mentioned at the beginning of this video that Ben and I had to have a really long conversation about it while we were in the pool in Fiji because we're both confused by this. So this one is probably the biggest one that women run from, that actually could pull you into the arms of a soul partner. And it is that they're probably, again, there's lots of different circumstances, but that they're probably at the beginning doesn't feel like a ton of passion. Anybody confused by this one already? Because it confused the hell out of me. I'm like, do I want to be like friends with this guy? Like, why does it feel so comfortable? Like, is he like a brother? Like, it was that whole like family thing, one of the signs. Sophia, interesting. Yeah. Okay. So it is interesting. Cassie, yeah, it's confusing. Okay. So here's what I realized. Because I'm a super passionate person. Like, I love that like soul fiery, like boom love, you know, that just like knocks you off your feet. And I always used to say, and I still want this, right? That I want a soul shattering love. That's like my phrase. It's like, I want a soul shattering love. Sounds kind of violent actually when I think of it, but like I love intensity, right? So in the past, I've always been attracted to men that immediately like I have that intensity with and that like fire and like spark, right? And like the sex is really hot immediately and it's just like rah, right? Like 2 animals that are like in heat or whatever. Too much detail. But this is the truth. So I was very confused when I first met Ben. And he was confused as well, which is this whole conversation we had in the pool, because neither of us felt this intense passion. So here's the difference. When we were in the pool and we were having this conversation, we're like, why don't we feel this passion? Like, what's going on? Like, is something wrong? And then we were both like, no, nothing's wrong, actually. It's just that it's like everything that is worth it in the end. It's a slow build, like a really good female orgasm, right? Ladies who are on this, like the slow, steady, like it's like the makings of a great business. Like it takes time. There's this kind of like, you know, steady, like, yeah, you're going to have your ups and downs, but there's this slow build that is like it's so healthy. and the problem is that we're addicted to drama. And so I had to really like look at myself and be like, well, I've never really had a super dramatic relationship. Like I actually don't have drama in my partnerships. And yet when I got really honest with myself, like, sure, I didn't have like, you know, like punching each other, throwing glasses kind of drama, screaming. Like I had that in my college days, you know, because I was really had no awareness of myself back then. But my last like, you know, 5 partnerships have not been like dramatic. However, they've started out with that like rawr and like it's just been all about the passion and the sex. And what I had to realize was that this was super healthy, and that it's not like we didn't have any passion, because trust me, we do. Like, it's like the most amazing, like even when Ben kisses me, I'm just like, I feel like my entire body is like exploding. But there was this interesting like slow build that is hard to explain, but that's the difference. So Sophia, totally, I'm addicted to chaos, working on this, especially in relationships. Right. I never even thought that I was. So it was like this whole thing where I had to get comfortable being uncomfortable in the even keelness of it all. And again, this goes back to that point, that the sign that they probably feel like family. And normally when we associate family, it's like, ew, I don't want to sleep with my brother or my dad. And of course we don't want to do that. But it's like this feeling of like comfort and normalcy, and like, this is weird to say, but it's almost like the sex is amazing, but it's like the afterthought. So like the relationship in itself is like so steady and firm and like even keel, that because it has that foundation, that then like the romance and the like fireworks are just like the icing on the cake. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this very well, but hopefully you guys are getting it. So that is the 6th sign of a soul-aligned love. And Cassie, I'm going to repeat the other 5. So let's go through them again. So number 1, I'm going to look at my notes because I don't remember the order that I did it in. Number 1 is that there's an admiration for your partner, but an equality. So you're not putting them, neither of you are putting each other on a pedestal. So you admire the person, but there's this like kind of like equal ground. Number 2 is that they feel like family. So there's this familiar feeling like, oh, there you are, which might feel a little bit weird. All of these might feel a little bit weird, by the way. The 3rd one is that they want what you want, like very specific things, right? Like you want to get married or you want children, and this stuff can feel boring, but we tend to like go away from it. There's just kind of this locking in of like, yeah, it makes sense. You want exactly what I want. The 4th thing is that their overall values are the same, especially their number 1. And again, this one can be a little bit looser, but it's just a sign. Like if your highest value is really similar or the same, that you're going to be a lot more aligned and committed to operating in your everyday life by this value, and how you treat other people, how you treat each other, how you treat yourself. The 5th one is that they are willing to tell you the hard truth and possibly risk hurting your feelings, but that they do it with love. So they're willing to risk the relationship for the betterment of what's best for you and what's best for the relationship as a whole. And they're willing to like kind of risk their ego by telling you the hard truth with love. And then the 6th one is that there might feel like there's a low passion or lower passion or sometimes no passion. So those are the 6th. You're so welcome, Michelle. Good to see you too. I mean, I wish I could see you. I can feel you, but thank you. Yeah, you're welcome, Cassie. Okay, so those are the 6 different things. I'm curious if you guys have any questions. I do have something special to share with all of you in celebration. I was trying to think, well, how can I celebrate this, 3 months of Ben and I being together? It's so crazy, you guys, like 3 months. Part of me is like, oh my God, it's only been 3 months. Like, are we going too fast? But it's like, actually, this is like a soul aligned love, is when it's like, yep, from the beginning, like in the pool, Ben looked at me and was like, I'm going to marry you in Fiji. And we'd only known each other for a few weeks. So it was really awesome. Oh, thanks, Sophia. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm a lucky girl. Ben's a lucky guy too. I can say that. So any questions around these that we want clarity on, or that you have a question around? So great to have everybody join. And maybe you have, a few signs for yourself that you start to notice. Again, these are not the end all be all. These are just 6 signs that like kind of knocked me in my stomach and had me wake up and be like, oh, normally I kind of run from these things because either I'm trying to adapt or be a better person, or, or they're like kind of scary and they don't seem like they'd be a great partnership, but they're actually completely opposite of that. Cassie says, how do you know when to up level the relationship on a physical level? This is a really good point. I would say like everybody's different. And for Ben and I, this was one of those weird points that actually I didn't put in there, but I guess it goes back to the like passion. Hopefully he won't kill me for saying this, but we waited a really long time to be intimate. And that was weird. It was like, why am I okay with this? Like normally I just want to like jump into bed, and like, and I think it comes back to, and Cassie, we might've been talking about this earlier. Like, I know, Alison Armstrong, she talks about like, from the biological perspective, like if you immediately are like, oh my God, my precious, I want to like, jump your bones and like up level it to the physical level, that many times that's like a sign to run. And the reason for that is because if you're prioritizing the physical over the foundational pieces, like we were just talking about, then the relationship will more than likely always be like biologically driven, like I want to screw this person. And so I would say that when you do meet that person and it feels potentially a little bit platonic at first, to just remember to give it time and to allow it to unfold naturally, and to I'm trying to think like if there was anything specific that like Ben and I were like, okay, it's time. Not really. Like it just kind of like unfolded naturally and didn't feel rushed or like we need to do this. So that's a good thing for you to remember, actually. So for anyone watching this, I would say probably the biggest sign is if you are feeling pressure to be intimate, don't be intimate. If you're feeling in your body a very steady, like, yes, where it's not like, oh my God, I want to like be intimate with this person. So that's the difference. Okay, here it is. Thanks for letting me think through this. It's the difference is just a full body, like steady, like, yep, I'm opening, I'm ready to be intimate with this person, versus like a hungry animal. Then the steadiness is when I would say it's time, or for you to at least have the conversation with them. Does that helps? Okay, awesome, cool. Sophia says, are these the same from Ben's perspective? Always curious about the guys. Yeah, okay. So this is great, Sophia, because I was asking Ben and I was sharing with him these top things that I was going to be sharing with all of you last night. And I was like, what do you think, babe? Like, would you agree that these are some of the things? And he agreed. And his biggest thing, and it's a little bit kind of like undefined, like I guess some of these signs that I'm outlining here are a little bit like not super concrete, but what he told me is that it just made sense. Like that was his biggest sign. He's like, it just made sense. Like there was no fuss. It was just like, yeah, I'm going to marry this chick. And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? Do you mean that emotionally it made sense or logically? And he was like, emotionally, it just made sense. And then he's like, and then there, of course, there was all the logical stuff. Like, we want the same things. We both want 2 kids. Then we want to adopt a black baby. Like it's like weird alignment stuff. But yeah, so that's what he said. Yeah, I'm curious to talk to him a little bit more about that too. He was pretty tired when I was sharing with him last night, but that was his perspective, Sophia. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight. I love the guy's perspective too. It's one of my favorites. It helps us be good partners. Cassie, have you ever had a situation where you couldn't really see Ben as your guy, especially in the beginning? And how did you keep going if you did and not shut down? Holy cow, yes. Yeah. So I would say like, especially the, like, he felt like family. I was like, oh, like, I don't think he's my guy. Like, even when I first met him, like, I wasn't super attracted to him. I I was like, oh, he just seems like a good friend. Like he seems like a nice guy. Like there was, and I think that it comes back. The biggest takeaway probably that I can give all of you is emotionally, I was confused as far as like thinking that my feelings need to be like raw, like right from the beginning. And again, I was in grief. I was in, my friend had just died. I was really having a hard time. And so I was not really trusting myself. So I think that's a good thing to keep in mind too, is like, where are you at in life? And how can you just keep coming back to like trusting that you know what's best for you? So yeah, and how did I keep going and not shut down? I kept paying attention to how he responded to me. This is a big one, actually. Okay, so we could put this on the list of signs. No matter what I did or what I said, because I tried to sabotage a relationship a few times, and I still have, he kept coming back to me with love. It's like he wasn't willing to give up. Like he could see through my bullshit. And again, this takes a really special guy and who is really has done his work. I would say, to be able to do that, or to not make it about like his ego and like shutting down if I'm not responding, and to stay open to like, okay, this guy keeps coming back. He keeps coming back. Like no matter what, he's wanting to support me. He's seen me in my highest good. That like blew me away. When he did that, it was just like it kept noticing these like very solid, kind of like slaps against the face that like I felt like, oh, like he's trying to wake me up, and he was doing it in such like a gentle, beautiful way. I'm not sure if this is making sense, Cassie, but that's probably the best way that I can explain it. Hey, Matthew, good to see you. Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm letting you guys know of something special that I have to offer in celebration of our 3 months together. Okay, cool, Cassie. And then I'm happy to answer more questions. But first, I just want to share that I decided to really celebrate these 3 months and to provide you all with something that if you really want to get to this place where you're aware, you're even able to be aware of these signs, what I've realized, and I was talking to Ben about this last night, that it really takes is for us to be able to do our own work, to, number one, clear out our past baggage. So Ben and I was asking him, babe, do you think that we would have been able to come together in the way that we did if we wouldn't have done a lot of work and letting go of our past relationships? And then the second thing I asked him is like also knowing what we wanted, having clarity around that. And then the third thing is really like doing a lot of work around these masculine feminine dynamics, like what it means to be in partnership with somebody who is who you want like this polarity with, and you want to come together and have this really hot relationship with, right? Because it takes a little bit, like no matter what, if you're gay or straight or whatever your preference is, there still has to be some sort of polarity. And so I really have dove into like learning what that takes for me. And I like a really masculine man, and I like to be in my feminine in relationships, but I wasn't always there. So there's these 3 things, and Ben agreed with me. He's like, yeah, I don't think that you and I would have been able to meet each other or to even recognize these signs without doing this work. And so that's what I want to offer all of you here today, because the reality is that you can be aware of these 6 signs, right? You can say, okay, like I know what they are, but you might not be able to fully see them if you're not present in the present moment and you've cleared out this relationship baggage, because it can come with us, right? Like I took a lot of my relationship baggage with me, and it can cloud our judgment for when we come into new partnership, because all that we're thinking about is the past and like, oh my God, this is what happened in that relationship or that partnership. And it felt like, when you're coming into the current, you're like so worried about the past that you're not able to see what's right in front of you. And this can be a humongous, like, determinant if you are meeting like your potential soul partner, and he could just kind of like, go away because you're not really aware. So that is super important. And then the other reality is just even knowing what you want. I see so many women, especially, that just don't know, and myself included for a long time, I didn't know exactly what I wanted, or I was willing to sacrifice. Like that man, in the 5-year partnership that I was in, who told me right from the beginning, I don't want to get married, I don't want to have more kids, and I still stayed with him for 5 freaking years. I'm grateful for that relationship. It taught me so many things, and it was my own journey, and sometimes we do have to go down those roads, but I'm still kind of appalled at myself that I did that. So that's that second piece, is really getting clarity on what you want. Because if you don't know what you want, you won't recognize what you have in front of you, and that it's aligned with what you want. And the third piece is really like how to have this dynamic of partnership and learning some key skills that it takes to have that really hot partnership, and the dynamic of also coming from that soul place, because that takes a lot of personal work too. So what I want to offer you guys today is I have a home study program called From Lonely to Love in 30 Days. And this program is $497. It includes modules on all of these areas, clearing out the past baggage, and they're all videos and audios, and it will guide you through. There are 8 different modules, so there's 2 per week for 4 weeks, and I really take you on this journey of what was necessary for me to be able to meet Ben and to meet him in this place. So like I said, this is $497, but in celebration of Ben and I and these 3 months that we've been together, I wanted to offer it at, I've only done this one time before, super, super low price of $97. So this is basically like $12 a module, you guys, if you're really interested in wanting to do this kind of work to prepare, so that you can identify the signs of a soul partner when they're right in front of you. And so if this feels like, an easy yes for you, I really am trying to make it an easy yes at $97 for all this content and material that I put my heart and soul into. And I really am getting clear on the importance of coming home, now that I know Ben, to a soul partnership, and really dedicating like the possibilities for all of us when we have this kind of partnership can literally, and this sounds dramatic, but I'm not even joking, change your entire life and affect the people around you so much that it ripples out into the world. And I think we can all agree that our world needs a lot more love right now. So if this feels like an easy yes for you, or something that you want to take advantage of, I'm offering this $97 pricing. So $300 off, essentially. No, actually, it's normally $497, so $400 off for 3 days. So today, tomorrow, and so Sunday will be the final day. And you can go to, I'm going to type this into the chat box, jesstomlinson.com/love. And you'll be able to take advantage of the $97. So let me tell you a little bit more about each of these modules. So there is the way that we start through the journey. And again, there's videos and audio exercises that I guide you through. It's all home study, so you can do it at your own pace. You have these materials for life. So even though it's like a 90-day program, you can have it forever. So the first journey part of these 90 days is really getting to know what makes you unique, and getting to know your own, like what you bring to the table, so that you can feel really confident. And then we move into like the clearing out of anger, forgiveness. I take you through a really powerful forgiveness ritual that I had to do with that 5-year partner, to actually clear him out so that I can move forward and meet the next man that I was with on my journey. And my relationships just kept getting better and better the more that I did this forgiveness ritual. And I could still do it today, I'm sure. But it has really been one of the main driving pieces, I would say, and what has prepared me to meet Ben, because I was able to really just let go of whatever I was holding on to from those previous partnerships and not compare Ben to all of them. So we go through that, and then I also help you get clear on like, what do you really want? What is important to you in a partnership, so that you don't sacrifice, you know, especially as women. Like, we come into these partnerships and we're like, okay, whatever. Like, I want to be a good person. I'm sure I can learn a lot from this person. And I get that. I get what that's like. And so I don't want you to have to go through that like I did. Like, it's really time, you guys, for us to step into we want what we want, and we don't have to have a reason for it. And when we meet that partner, when we know what we want, we're so much more likely to recognize it immediately, like I did with Ben. I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what I want. Here we go. Like, this is my guy, you know, along with all these other qualities that I really find important. So I guide you through how to do that. And then lastly, like I was mentioning, I teach you how to interact so you can have a really hot relationship and really sink into your femininity and learn how to interact with a man, if that's what you're desiring, a man who's masculine, so that you can relax and let go. I would say this is one of the number one things that my private clients have wanted, and that women in general, even my friends, talk about wanting in a partnership. If you are desiring to be more of a feminine woman, it takes practice. It takes practice, because you have to let go of control, and that's really hard. As an ambitious woman, I know. But I will tell you that it has benefited me greatly with Ben. Like, to the point where I have told him, like, babe, I want you to be the head of this relationship. And that, like, all my feminists are probably out there being like, oh my God. But even though I don't identify with the term feminist, I'm all about like equality and women and men like having like, you know, equal responsibilities. But for me, what I want is I want to be able to sink into my feminine and feel what that feels like. So if you want that too, it's really juicy and lovely to be in the arms of a partner who can hold you in that. And it takes some learning and practice. So I teach you quite a bit about men, but also about yourself. Amy, I did this program even though I'm in a long-term relationship. Yes, you did. Yeah, that's a good point. So it's also for people who are in partnership. Maybe, you know, the program is called From Lonely to Love. I would say, like, if maybe you're just feeling a little lonely, and that doesn't mean necessarily anything about like your partner not being there for you. What it could just mean is that like you've got some stuff to work on for yourself, and there's no shame in that. So thank you for saying that, Amy. As my guy says, even though we've made it to the playoffs in the relationship, why not go for the championship ring? He says that. How cool. I love that, Amy. It's so true, right? Like the dedication to that, to this type of soul-aligned partnership, soul-aligned love. So thank you for that, Amy. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Now would be the time. If you're watching the replay, you can chime in and ask a question as well. I'm happy to answer. Again, this $97 is just in celebration, really, of trying to, you know, my gift to really discount this program, $400 off for the next 3 days. To celebrate the 3 months that Ben and I have been together, and our partnership, and just how special it's been. I feel like I've got a lot more to teach, a lot more to share. And at the same time, I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be doing this relationship coaching, because as I mentioned, I do business coaching on the side as well. So take advantage of this if this really feels like something that you're resonating with. I would love to support you in this program. And even though it's a home study program, you know, I invite people to just respond to the emails if they have a question. I'm happy to like be that support for you as you're going through the modules. So, all right. Anybody have any questions? Woohoo! It's only been an hour. Normally I feel like I go forever on these things. That's pretty awesome. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you guys all for like watching and being here. I think, is that Robin? I think I saw your face in the bubble. I didn't see you pop on in the views. Hey, Stephanie. Nice to see you, lovely. So if you are jumped on late, or feel free to, you know, watch this back, because we're almost completing. You can just come back and watch this 1 hour overview of these 6 signs of a soul-aligned love that I have recognized I used to run from, but are actually really important. I'm so grateful. Thank you all for being here. I think I'm going to wrap up if nobody has any questions, so that I can kind of go and enjoy my day and get excited for Ben to come home from work and this weekend. Will be fun to spend with him. So I love you all so much, and keep going out there. And if you're in a relationship, like, exploring what this means to be aligned with each other's souls. It's such important work, I believe, and so fulfilling. And then know that I'm here for you. And if you're single, know that there is so much hope. I never thought I would meet somebody like Ben. I literally am still pinching myself because I tell him that it feels like I just kind of fell into his arms forever. And it feels so good. So know that that is absolutely possible for you too. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. And if you are joining the home study program at the massive discount, to make sure to do that in the next 3 days so that you get on board. And I can't wait to see you in the videos and the modules, and to support you in your journey so that you can recognize these signs or enhance the soul love that you might already have. All right, bye, guys.